Alrighty, what is up YouTube? G-String Reviews here. Today is kind of a response to a comment, I guess. I asked for comments on what teams you wanted to see, and one of my fellow subscribers told me he's a Lakers fan. Now that's kind of indirectly asking for the video, so I'm going to respond to that and give him what he wants or what he may or may not want. I don't know. I'm doing all 30 teams, so I might as well get to it sooner rather than later. So yeah, I'm also killing two birds with one stone here. My friend asked me for some gameplay. He was getting kind of bored of just viewing the roster screens. So I am going to give him some gameplay, and as I'm doing that, I'm also giving you guys gameplay. So anyways, the roster needs for the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, to be honest, the Lakers have always been a great franchise. However, this past year they have actually been their worst ever. They've never been worse. So with that being said, the Lakers, they have a flawed system. They kind of built around, they're kind of like the Yankees in a sense. They built around aging superstars, and that's not really something that usually entails winning. However, they've been able to win a lot of championships, obviously, with their, I believe, with their 16 championships. So yeah, so it's obviously worked out for them at some point, and as well in the early, well, not even early parts of the 2000s. It's worked out for them up until about last year. So anyways, their aging superstars are Kobe Bryant, 35 years old, Pau Gasol, 33, who is actually still a major contributor to this team, even though he is a little bit older. Steve Nash, 40 years old. That's kind of archaic. He's like the grandfather of this team. To be honest, the only real problems they had with this actually would have been a very successful team. The only problem they had with it was that Kobe Bryant barely even played and Steve Nash barely even played. If Steve Nash actually played the entire season, or even a majority of the season, this team actually would have done quite well. He's a phenomenal floor general, obviously one of the best to ever live. He's up there, I believe, in the top 5. I don't know exactly where he's placed in the all-time assist totals, but he is placed in the top 5. I'm sure of that. So yeah, he definitely is a major player. However, he unfortunately has not played much this past year. So they need to find somebody who can be more consistent, somebody who they can actually rely on to be there night in, night out, and who can actually control an offense. You don't just want some random scrub. They have Kendall Marshall and Jordan Farmar, two pretty damn good players, but not really great floor generals as their two backup point guards, and that obviously didn't work out too well for them. They both could not handle the offense, and they could not generate points in this as the starting point guard. So they didn't really work out that way. The team struggled trying to find their place. They tried out Xavier Henry, Nick Young, and overall they just could not find somebody to consistently get them points. So they need to find a replacement Steve Nash. Signing free agents has obviously not worked out well for them. They signed Steve Nash. Has not worked out well for them. They signed Dwight Howard. He didn't work out for them, so they've had their fair share of failed attempts at free agent signings. If I were them, I would keep their draft pick and try and rebuild at least somewhat through the draft. They have the number 6 overall pick. Now that obviously is just the percentage. The number 6 overall pick does not mean they will actually get the number 6. They could get number 1. They could also get number 14. Now the chances are that they're probably going to stick somewhere around the number 6 range. So overall, they're going to get the same wave of players no matter what. Their best bets are Dante Exum and Marcus Smart to generate offense. They're both really great offensive producers. Marcus Smart is a better offensive generator than Dante Exum. However, Dante Exum is, well, I wouldn't really say a better player. They're both really good. It's kind of up to debate at this point. I think Marcus Smart has a lot more angst in him, and I think he's also a lot more accomplished as a player. So me personally, I would get Marcus Smart rather than Dante Exum. However, Dante Exum being 6'6" could definitely be shifted over to that shooting guard role when Kobe Bryant obviously retires, and if you ever have somebody who you can fill in for that starting point guard role. So it's a little bit of a stuck in the middle, on the middle of the fence type game for the Lakers in their draft pick. Now I did hear some talk about them actually trading their draft pick. that would not really be a smart move unless they really got something. They really don't really have that many great trade pieces. Their only real trade pieces are Nick Young, who is on an expiring contract, and really it comes down to a sign and trade if they decide to do that. And to be honest, they couldn't even trade the draft pick because they can't sign him until after the draft. So he's really not even counted as a possible trade piece. Kent Bazemore could possibly be used, but he wouldn't be like a #1 option. I believe Jody Meeks is still under contract. I'm not positive about that. I'm honestly just not positive about that. But if he does happen to not be under contract, then unfortunately he will not be a good trade piece. But he could be used as a trade piece. However, he was, to be honest, their #1 offensive option on this entire team. Maybe behind Pau Gasol and Nick Young. So he's definitely up there, and I honestly wouldn't really want to get rid of him. He definitely wouldn't be the first guy I would get rid of. Other than that, they really have just about nobody. They have Wesley Johnson, who's not really a great trade piece. Overall, none of these trade pieces are really going to get them much in return. They're going to give up somebody like Marcus Smart to get somebody like Nick Young. It just doesn't work out. Nick Young is a great player, but Nick Young can't hold an entire team on his back. He tried, and unfortunately, he failed. I hate to say it, but he really did. He tried as much as he possibly could, and he actually did pretty well. So I got to give Nick Young a pat on the back there. He did a great job with that, but he unfortunately could not pull through and get his team the wins. Not his fault, though. I don't blame him. I blame the setup of this team. It was set up to fail. Yeah, but Marcus Smart would be one of the best options, if not Dante Exum. And, you know, to be honest, it's maybe even thought that both of those players will actually be gone by the 6th pick. So maybe get somebody, you know, like Zach LaVine. He's another great pick to get. I don't know if I'd really get him with the 6th overall pick, but if you don't really have a choice because you don't have any later picks in the draft, then, to be honest, just pick him. Shabazz Napier, he's a great player, but he's not 6th overall potential. I don't think he's ever going to grow into that amazing player that you would expect from a 6th overall player. So, yeah, their best bets are Marcus Smart and Dante Exum for a replacement for Steve Nash. I mean, that's really the main part of them rebuilding this entire team. They don't actually need to do a full rebuild. They have the pieces to get them into playoff contention. They're not really going to get into that elite level contention until Kobe Bryant leaves the team. That's just the reality of it. That really is the reality of it. Kobe Bryant has $30 million on his contract. Now, I believe he actually did drop down to $25 million. I'm not positive on that, but it might still be $30 million. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he didn't drop down that much. It's still a very high contract. So, to be honest, they're not really going to be elite until Kobe Bryant retires. Obviously, you're not going to trade Kobe Bryant. You're definitely not going to put him on the bench, especially not for the money he gets. But their only option is to kind of, you know, shoot in the dark, take a shot in the dark. If they don't take that shot, they're never going to hit anything. I mean, it's better to swing for the fences than not swing at all. But I don't really know what to tell you. They are set up to fail. They're just too old. They can win. I'm not saying they can't, because I don't think that. They really can win. Their other options are Pau Gasol. They just need to lower his contract. He's still a great player. They just need to lower his contract overall. He needs to be lowered down to about $12 million a year, no higher than that. Steve Nash has one more year at about $9 million on the books, so he's gone after that. He's going to be 41 after next year. Nick Young, I believe he has an expiring contract, but he's not going to want to come back for $1 million. Nick Young, Swaggy P as he's known, is going to want to come back for at least $6 million. I don't blame him. He'd be a great starting small forward for this team. Kendall Marshall, I'm not really positive, but I believe he is still on his rookie contract. So, you know, he could be. I think it's up to the team option at this point. To be honest, I don't really know exactly, you know, all of his stats exactly, but if he did all right, I would give him a chance and accept his team option. If he didn't, I would not accept the team option. I mean, that kind of depends on Jordan Farmar as well. If you know, it depends kind of who did better. I think they're both on expiring contracts. However, I think Kendall Marshall is under that team option, or potential team option. So it really comes down to, kind of specifics, I guess, or I guess maybe more than that, kind of who they like, really. There's not really a right or wrong answer. They could take either Kendall Marshall or Jordan Farmar, both very cheap contracts, but neither of them are really going to make an impact probably ever in their career. But I think I'd rather take Kendall Marshall just because he's 22 years old, whereas Jordan Farmar is 26, I believe. Oh, 27. Okay, he's 27 years old. By the way, I know a lot of this stuff because I'm looking it up on Google as we speak. So don't think I'm just a genius. I do know a lot about basketball, but the ages and the salaries, I don't know exactly. So they were great in three-point shooting. They need to keep that up. They have a ton of great shooters on their team. They have Nick Young, Pau Gasol, a great outside shooter, overall player, but he's a great shooter as well, especially for a big man. Kent Bazemore is a decent shooter, but their good shooters are Nick Young, Pau Gasol, Ryan Kelly to an extent, Jody Meeks, Kendall Marshall to an extent. That's kind of it. That's kind of their great three-point shooter, or their great shooters in general, and obviously Steve Nash, Kobe Bryant. But I'm not really counting them because they're not 100% reliable because of their injuries. But they need to keep Jody Meeks. That's a major thing to this. He's obviously going to be a backup. There's no doubt about that. But he needs to stay on this team. If they cannot get him to stay on this team, they might just kiss their dreams goodbye. You need obviously a great backup lineup, so they need to keep Jody Meeks. They need to get better big men. That's really the major point of this. They don't really have a great starting center. They have Jordan Hill, and Chris Kaman kind of switches out, day in, day out. But Jordan Hill's gone. He's going to want about $12 million a year. Not something that they can give him. So say goodbye to Jordan Hill. I don't really think they're going to give him that type of money. I think he's going to be gone. He deserves that type of money, but they're not going to give it to him. At least I don't think they will. If they do, it's kind of a dumb decision on their part because it's another humongous contract that they got to offer. It's not something you want to keep on doing. Jordan Hill's a great player, but he's not amazing enough to offer $12 million a year. You need to think about it this way: $12 million. Just think about that. Just let it settle in. $12 million per year. That's a lot of money. That really is a lot of money. So they're not going to go ahead and give $12 million to Ryan Kelly. $12 million is if you're really good. DeAndre Jordan got a bad contract. However, he lived up to that contract. Will Jordan Hill live up to that contract? He's a pretty solid player now, but he's not. Personally, I don't think he's $12 million worth. Maybe $9 million. That's as high as I would go with him. And maybe he will actually accept that because, as you know, Los Angeles Lakers, I should say specifically, is a major free agent destination, and they definitely are somewhere where people want to end up. So maybe he doesn't even want to leave. Maybe he's just saying that in order to get more money. That is a tactic that's a lot of times used. Other than that, they have Chris Kaman, Robert Sacre, Ryan Kelly. Those are kind of the rest of the big men. Robert Sacre kind of terrible. Ryan Kelly is just a pretty good three-point shooter. Other than that, he can't really do a whole bunch. But he is a decent player overall. They can keep him as a backup, maybe a double backup power forward. And Chris Kaman, be honest, somebody's got to go. One of these people has got to go. Robert Sacre, get him out of here. He's really terrible. Chris Kaman, he's a little bit old. Not even a little bit old. He is pretty damn old. 32 years old. That's old for a center. So get him out of here. Either get him out of here or just let Jordan Hill go on. But I personally think that Jordan Hill is a better defensive player. I could be wrong about that, but that's my personal opinion. I think Jordan Hill is a pretty good defensive player, and I think he is actually better than Chris Kaman as it pertains to defense. So, really, that's the gist of this entire team. They're a good team, but they are set up to fail. They're not going to win, ton of championships, or maybe any, until Kobe Bryant retires. Luckily, he's 35 years old. He plays for 5 more years, and that's only 5 years that you have to wait. So it's not that bad, but it is a little bit bad. They don't really have any good trade pieces. If you add together Marshawn Brooks and Kent Bazemore, what are you going to get? You're only going to get maybe a guy like Swaggy P, maybe a guy like Jody Meeks. You're not going to get Kobe Bryant. That's what they need. They could always sign in free agency. The problem is they kind of stocked up on on all their cap room. They obviously Kobe Bryant about 30 million. Pau Gasol, they can probably lower him to about 12. They have Steve Nash at 9 million. Swaggy P, if he does decide to come back, going to be about 6 million. Kendall Marshall going to be about 3 million. Kent Bazemore, I believe, is probably going to be in the $1 or $2 million range. Jordan Hill, if he does decide to come back, is probably going to be at least from 9 to 12 million. Ryan Kelly, I believe, is about in the $1 million